as you know, the definition of white supremacy is a question that I have been wrestling with for a while. Recently, I've tried to engage with American Renaissance because of their conference earlier this month. And unfortunately, they haven't responded and won't allow me to post on their website. Now, to be fair to Jared Taylor, he doesn't identify as white supremacist. He calls himself a white advocate, but his detractors would no doubt insist on calling him a white supremacist. And I know that Richard Spencer doesn't call himself a white supremacist. I'm not quite sure what he calls himself, white nationalist. But I also know that he has decided to dissociate himself from these people because he thought they were, well, losers. Basically, there is a heated exchange somewhere online between him and Mark Collett, and Mark was kind of trying to soothe him and say, oh, surely you don't mean what you say. And Richard Spencer was saying, yes, I do. I don't want anything to do with you lot anymore, or words to that effect. So on the American Renaissance website, there is a short post that says, white supremacists, people who might be identified as white supremacists, are just people who don't want to become a minority in their own country. And defined in this way, white supremacy is kind of understandable, predictable, and in a way universal. Not that everybody is a white supremacist, but I think every race can understand that in their own countries they would prefer not to be turned into minorities. But it's obvious that they hate it. And that was kind of my suggestion of white supremacy. If you could get them together in one room and say, look, is this how you want to define yourself? There are political advantages in saying, oh, we white supremacists, we're just white people living in white homelands who don't want to become a racial minority in our own country. I say this in the background of the UK census figures about the decreasing number of white British people. This has caused some consternation and how the figures do not quite add up. I will deal with that in another stream. But back to the question of white supremacy. So we all know that it's not a good thing to be labelled a white supremacist, and the trick has been played on some non-white people. They support people like Trump. Maybe I've got it wrong, but I'm under the impression that people like Kanye West have been called white supremacists just because he supported Trump. But I know he's in a bit of trouble now with the things he said about Jews, and black people do have a track record of disliking Jews as well as Asians, because I think we know that the attacks on Asians are mostly perpetrated by blacks. But then, you could say, I'm sure that there will be enough black people who will come up and say, well, the people who most attack black people are black people. And this is a difficult, but I'm not really going to talk about that. I am talking about people who are who who self-identify as white supremacists and who are likely to be identified as white supremacists by their government. And I also want to talk about how I want to define white supremacy. Now, I think these people are really very confused. They come from a group that are normally defined as being, low education, low income, low status, low information, and therefore can't be expected to think these things through properly. And they would be easily frightened. They don't want to. They don't have the intellectual competence to strike out on their own and insist that what they say is correct because it is in conformity with truth and logic. They will be the kind of sheeple who will be afraid to go against the group ideology because that would mean being kicked out of the group of white supremacists or white nationalists, if you prefer. So we can't expect independent thought from them, or even their leaders, because their leaders are actually afraid of their followers, and they are mostly unprincipled white people. I call them unprincipled because they refuse to engage with me. Is it unprincipled if you refuse to engage with me as a political activist? I would argue yes. If you don't want to talk to me, and don't want to answer my questions, it is because you fear something. You fear truth, logic, and morality. I don't want to be so grandiose as to say that I represent truth, logic, and morality, but if anybody does, it would be me. And if you think somebody else better represents truth, logic, and morality, please would you tell me who he is? So I don't think there is anybody better at truth, logic, and morality than me. And I am a truth, logic, and morality supremacist. I think that whatever our race and religion, we should base our beliefs and actions on truth, logic, and morality, and that would be my holy trinity. As you know, my solution is theological. I don't believe in conspiracy theories. I don't believe in the promotion of conspiracy theories because I think it's a waste of time. People are already suffering from ADHD, and the people I tend to talk to are unfortunately low information, low status, low education, and low income. And so they are very disadvantaged, and they also suffer from social retardation. But the emotions they feel are real. I'm not going to pretend that they don't really feel the way they do, and they are angry and frightened, and their ruling classes keep doing things to make them more angry and more frightened. And I am suggesting a way out, and the way out that I point to is being rejected by them because they're not able to use truth, logic, and morality to solve their problems. But what about the people above them? Unfortunately, because the ruling classes of the West are so corrupt and incompetent, they behave in the same way as the low information, low status, low income, low education people I complain about. So what do I actually propose? I propose that the narrative be framed in this way and the parties defined in the way that I can recommend. So if if you're white and refuse to acknowledge that Christo-Liberalism is kaput, you are a white supremacist. That is my proposed definition of white supremacy. And this would comfortably include the liberal political establishment, because they don't think there's anything wrong with their Christo-Liberalism. And I'm saying it's kaput and they can't talk about it. And that is a sign of white supremacy. And I don't care if you're going to say, well, I'm part of the liberal elite. I can't be, I have many friends who are non-white and all that kind of nonsense. It is nonsense because you are saying that you, as a race, do not need a functioning religion. What is a functioning religion? It is a religion that allows you to deal with your internal and external enemies. Who are your internal and external enemies? They would be subversives and people who hide truth, logic, and morality, or who refuse to discuss it, and that includes so many people I know, and some of them are really dear friends who I've known for quite a while. But unfortunately, they suffer from a neurosis and a learning disability that they deny that they have. I mean, you literally can't get a sensible answer out of them, and they are avoidant. They can't talk about it. But then in a way they do. They engage in a hit and run ambushes. And, they would say disobliging things about Jews and Muslims, and then run away and refuse to engage, in a proper debate. Now, the people that they complain about, these Jews and these Muslims, well, by definition, by calling them Jew, by calling them Muslim, you're saying that these people have a religion. Well, you, white supremacist, in denial that you're a white supremacist, you don't have a religion. You're neither Christian nor liberal nor conservative, because your position is that, well, it's all failed. I'm going to be a Nazi now, or well, you might say that you're a nationalist, but then you can't go any further when I say, well, isn't it in the national interest to have a functioning moral system? And then they run away, they leave the room, and I'm alone again. Righteous remnant, are you saying you want to join me? Is that what you're saying? Yes, you can. I'm going to quickly finish what I'm saying. So I'm just going to say, I'm just going to tell you what I'm going to be doing. And I'm saying, if you are white and you complain about the government and you are neither Christian nor liberal nor conservative, you are a white supremacist if you refuse to acknowledge that Christo-Liberalism is kaput. And it doesn't matter if you say, I've got loads of black, non-white friends and I love them and shit like that, It still means that you're a white supremacist because you think that the colour of your skin is enough for you to protect yourselves from each other and your corrupt and incompetent ruling classes. This is what you are in fact saying, well, I don't need religion, I just need my magic white skin, which I've got. But in the meantime, I will keep complaining about immigration and Jews and Muslims and foreigners, and that's how I roll. And I'm saying that's really retarded. And the fact that you won't engage with me on the fact that Christianity is kaput is ipso facto evidence of your neurosis and your learning disability and or character defect. So that is how I am going to deal with the problem. So did you say, righteous Revenant, that you want to join me? I'll waffle on for a bit before you join me, hopefully. I'm not even sure what you want to discuss exactly. So what I'm saying is that, these people that you're always complaining about, they are defined by their religious identity, Jews and Muslims. And so we can deduce that what protects them is their religion. And you are a white supremacist if you say that you don't need a religion. Because by implication, why you think you don't need a religion is because you think your magic white skin is enough to protect you from, other white people who don't mean you well. Other white people would be people who hate white supremacists and label people who are not really white supremacists. Well, I don't. So I'm basically saying that if you deny that Christo-Liberalism is kaput and can't name the moral system that you're currently under, you are a white supremacist because you haven't accepted that you need a religion, that you're always the two main groups that you're always complaining about have, the Jews and the Muslims. They have, Judaism and Islam, and you don't, and those of you who claim to be Christian, well, you're not really Christian, are you? You're not really confirmed Christians, and I'm saying only confirmed Christians have the right to define themselves as Christian. And otherwise, anybody can just say, "Oh, I'm Christian," including myself, because I regard myself as a cultural Christian, and a cultural Christian is somebody who knows the form of service in churches, knows the hymns, the order of service, and how things go in a church, and I would be. I would qualify as a cultural Christian because I'm used to the form. I'm theologically knowledgeable. I occasionally speak to bishops, vicars, people like that. So this is my radical new idea, which is to define any white person who complains about Jews and Muslims and foreigners as white supremacy, as white supremacists. So I know that, a lot of people, conservatives, I suppose, they complain that they're being labelled white supremacists, and they never, said a racist thing in their lives, and they have plenty of non-white friends. I'm saying yes, you are the right. I'll give it to the Western ruling classes, the right to define you as white supremacist, because a white supremacist is somebody who doesn't think that their race, people of their race and nationality, need a religion to protect them from each other. Have I repeated myself enough already? I think I have. I don't see anybody else coming on. I've finished making my point, so I will complete the stream. Thank you for your attention.